Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to work on a heavy bag workout that you can use at home. So if you have a heavy bag to strike with, that's excellent. If not, maybe you can take some of these techniques and put them into a shadow boxing routine and get a little workout with. We're going to work on 10 punches today, how to throw them correctly. We're also going to work on our stance and our movement to make sure that when we're throwing the strikes, we're not getting injured, and also that we're doing everything properly. Hope you enjoy. So let's work our way from the ground up. First thing is going to be leg position. So I want to spread my feet out at a comfortable distance, my knees bent, and I don't want my feet to be directly behind each other like this. I want my feet out so I have balance in all directions. My hands are going to come up, my elbows tucked in, and my hands here draped just below my eyes. Okay, so I have good hand position in regards to defense, things like that, blocking my sides. I'm in a good striking situation. So good base here with my legs, knees bent, nice and comfortable, elbows in, hands up. Okay, every strike is going to come in from this, elbows in position with my hands up from here. All right, so from this position, first let's talk about our footwork and our movement. Basic footwork, I always want to keep my base. So when I take a step, it's like I'm taking one step and then half a step, catching up to myself. So I take a step, 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 back step, back step, back step. Check your stance, make sure that your feet are still in this position and not getting right on top of each other. From the side here, step forward, step back, okay? Side stepping is just the same thing. Little steps to the side, step and half step. Forward, backwards, step and half step. You can also, as you work on the bag, you're going to notice that you're going to do some pivoting. You're going to be moving around the bag because eventually we want to work our way into striking the bag as if it's an opponent. So when we're working on the bag, sometimes as we're moving in and moving out, we're taking little pivot movements, which is essentially me posting on my front leg and pivoting 90 degrees. Making sure that when I do this, that my feet are staying in this good base position. So stance and movement, crucial to your heavy bag work or in general in your shadow boxing. We're going to work on our 10 basic strikes. You might not use all of them on the heavy bag. Most of our workouts won't include all 10 of them, but I'll give them to you so you can work on them on your own. When we're striking, we're always trying to keep good base and good stance so we can distribute our weight properly, so we can move quickly to evade, and all the various things that we need to make sure that we're doing. With striking here, my elbows are in, my hands are up. Now one thing to point out, my shoulders are relaxed. Okay, so if you feel your shoulders coming up and tensing like this isn't going to be very helpful to you. It's going to slow down your strikes, and it's also going to fatigue you a lot quicker. So basic rule of thumb here is my stance is good, my hands come up, shoulders are relaxed. The shoulders do come up when you're adding defense. All right, that's where we're going into this shelled position here when I'm defending. But otherwise, my shoulders are nice and relaxed. All right, strike number one is going to be a jab. The jab is your setup to basically everything. It's the most important punch, done with your front hand. With the jab, the elbow's in, the punch comes out, turns over at the end. The punch comes out, turns over at the end. From the side, that's with no foot movement also. The punch comes out, turns over. You notice that my fist is thumb up the whole time right until the beginning. So I'm keeping everything nice and sharp. With a step, your jab is here. Step, step. Pushing off my back leg, stepping with my front. Step, step. Pivot here, step, step. See? All right, so, and when you're working the bag, you're going to use that jab moving into it. You may use a double jab. Step, step. Notice how I'm using my front foot. Step, step. Keep my base. All right. Pushing off my back leg, stepping with the front foot. Small steps. Not reaching. I'm not jumping in, not lunging. Trying to keep everything underneath. Strike two, number two punch, a cross or a right straight or a left straight if you're a southpaw with a left-handed stance. Hands up, elbows in. Same thing, thumb's going to be up, punch turns over at the end. But what's happening here is I'm shifting my weight off my back leg to my front leg just a little bit. And as the weight shifts, my foot's turning and the punch rotates out. So here, the weight shifts, the punch turns and rotates out. Both knees bent, good balanced position. Notice the thumb position, up, 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 turns over at the end. Turns over at the end. Full rotation of the shoulders. So I get maximum weight distribution power. Rotate. Rotate. Notice a little movement here, getting used to that weight transfer. Rotate. And of course the other hand's up at my face defending. Try this angle here. Rotates out. You'll notice that when the strike lands, my face is inside my shoulder, so I have a good position. Strike three, the hook with your front hand. Be my left hook If you're a lefty, it'll be a right hook. Strike 3. To set this up, you could throw it right from this position. Usually you're using your first 2 straight punches to cover ground, to manage distance, and then as you work your way inside, you throw the hook. One basic rule I always follow with striking is that if the person is at the distance of my arm straight out, I'm not throwing hooks until I get jammed up. Then that's where hooks and uppercuts come into play. For the hook here, it's going to be just like you saw in the right punch. There's a rotation of the foot. It's going to be a similar thing with our front foot. To do this though, I'm going to bring my right shoulder forward just a little bit, just to create some space and momentum. And then from that position, watch my foot, my feet are going to turn. This front foot's turning, my back foot's planted. Whenever one foot's turning for a strike, the other foot's planted. So they have good balance, okay? So right shoulder forward a little bit. Now you see the elbow comes out, up, and the hook turns over. And the hand comes right back. The hand whips back, just like this karate style blocking movement, okay? So I set it up with a little movement here. The arm is gonna come out, palm down, as the front foot turns. All hip movement, using my body weight, rotation, okay? When the hook lands, you know you've done it correctly. It's tough to do this on the bag, but when the hook lands, I should be looking just over the lower part of my tricep, face tucked into my shoulder here, right back. Open up, hook turns. Sometimes on the bag, you can hit with the thumb up here. All right, you're gonna lose, it feels like you're gaining power. So in some cases you are, but really we're looking for that palm down. In the bag, you're not gonna get that same power sound that you're looking for when you're throwing with the palm down, but when you're striking an actual opponent, that's what you wanna get. And with the palm down, you're using all of the appropriate muscles of your upper body to really drive through. All right, when your thumb goes up, you start to get disconnected from your shoulder and your back a little bit. All right, so we're trying to throw palm down. So far we have 1, 2, 3. All right. Let's move on to strike 4. 4 and 5 are going to go to the body. All right, they're going to be essentially uppercuts to the body. The 5 punch gets a little bit varied. Sometimes that turns into kind of a half uppercut, half hook to the body, which you'll see with most of these body shots. They're going to be in between hooks and uppercuts. So 4-5 is a right, or with my rear hand. It could be a left if you're a southpaw, but uppercut to the body, uppercut to the body. So I lower my base, the hand's coming down, and I'm rotating. And you're doing this punch when you're inside, when you're close to the person. Remember that last detail. You're working as your punches get jammed, you can lower your base, boom, and fire an uppercut to the body. I'm firing my elbow right off my hip and landing right into the person's rib cage here. With the 5, which is another uppercut to the body, shoulder comes forward, just like the hook, setting it up, gaining a little momentum and power, and then from here, watch the foot turn, and the punch shovels underneath. And you're gonna notice with these punches here, specifically the left one, that the uppercut comes at an angle here, just like that. It's not going too far out like this right here. It's not gonna be effective from my front side. So I have a 4, and then from that point, that foot goes down, the other foot turns, 5. We're looking, that's where you always get that classic liver shot, okay? So the left uppercut to the body's coming at an angle, digging in, and that's where you look for that power shot right to this part of the person's stomach, rib cage, abdomen area. So forward, underneath, base lowers, underneath, and here, back, here, back. One thing to note on hooks and uppercut and 5, on the 3 and the 5 punch, if you're throwing it just by itself, you're gonna have this coiling motion where you come back with your opposite shoulder forward. So I dip, boom. Because with the assumption there is that let's move on to 6 and 7. 6 and 7, very difficult on the heavy bag. You generally need a specific bag, an uppercut bag, which is a heavy bag lengthwise, to actually throw these punches on the heavy bag because you don't have an angle to get underneath. So a lot of times when you're practicing uppercuts on just a regular heavy bag, you have to simulate the punch being thrown. So you have to make if you're throwing a 6 or a 7, which are the uppercuts to the head, you might just have to simulate that in front of the bag. The 6, with my rear hand, it's gonna be a rotation, and usually, here's something to note too, You'll notice on these uppercuts and hooks that the hand really pulls away from the face. And really, again, you're doing these punches, the uppercuts and hooks when you're in close, or you should have other punches in front of them to mask them a little bit. But the uppercut with the rear hand, my body's gonna be rotating the same way, a little bit of a dip, a little bit more of a leg bend, because I'm lifting up, a little bit more upward, not so much straight out. So the hip will drive up this way a little bit instead of that way. You'll feel that hip pressure. My hip pressure turns this way on the 2, up a little bit on the uppercut, but I don't want to open my body up here. So with the rear foot, as the rear foot turns, this hand's going to be dropping and coming underneath, right up my nose, like this. So the punch comes right up. Here, good base and position, just like that. Knees bend, drive up. Knees bend, drive up. Drive up right there, okay? The 7, same back shoulder rotation. If I'm throwing it by itself, just to cover that space and momentum. And then from here, up. Same thing as the 5. The 7 comes at an angle, not straight up. So I dip my shoulder forward, up. See the foot position? Back foot plants, left foot not turning so much, lifting off my heel to drive my hip. So we have 6, 7, okay? Moving on. Let's go into the 8, 9, 10, all in a bundle. All right, 8 and 9 are gonna be hooks to the body. Right hook, left hook, right hook, depending if you're a southpaw. With the 8 and 9, my base lowers. Again, I'm in close, I rotate right around. Throw into the body. Is your hand lower? Yes, but you're in close to the person, so you're ripping down here. Ripping across, ripping across. Very common punch. Thumb can be up or down, either one. Generally it's gonna be up though for this right hook to the body. But you're lowering your base and driving across. This is a very common punch on the bag you're gonna use. Left hook to the body, same thing as to the head, except more common with the thumb up, less common here. When you rip down lower, you're coming across a lot more with your body. It's a little harder to use that punch because your hand is much lower. Palm down is good up here, palm down here is not gonna work. Down here, we're going a little bit more thumb up. And the 10 is an overhand punch. The overhand is like throwing a baseball. As I rotate, the punch goes over. So as my shoulder rotates like a 2, I lift my elbow right at the end. You'll see people do this with a big swinging motion, and that works too. I've used it a lot in my career, but really we're looking to mask it. We're looking to fire it up just like a 2, and right at the end, boom, turn our elbow right over, just like you're throwing a pitch here. Turning the elbow over, turning the elbow over, okay? So those are all 10 of our punches. Something to remember, all of the odd number punches are with your front hand. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And all of the even number punches are with your rear hand. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so those are all of our punches. We're going to talk about how we can put them together. We go into a little shadow boxing routine here, making sure that we have good stance and good base the whole time. I hope you enjoy. Along with the punches on the bag, you can really make an effective use of throwing knee strikes and kicks. Knee strikes are a little bit difficult on certain bags because of that angle, similar to what we talked about the uppercut, but you can still make plenty of use of them. And as far as condition is concerned, you'll see where we're gonna really add the knees in towards the end when we're trying to do our little burnout rounds. Okay, so first with the 2 low kicks that we're gonna practice. The first, my rear leg. When we're throwing a low kick, the rear leg is coming a roundhouse all the way around from the side here. And in order to do that effectively, this foot has to be pivoted. As this foot pivots, so as this foot turns outside here, now my hips are open and the kick can come around and rotate. It's very difficult to throw a kick to the open air because of the balance. You want to have that pad or that target to impact on. Helps keep your balance because there's a lot of momentum and weight swinging around this kick. My hands up, the foot turns, boom, the kick throws out. When you're shadow boxing the kick, there's basically 2 methods. You can turn your foot and spin all the way through, Or you can throw the kick with control, try to hold it with balance, and pull your knee back. So the second method would be here, pulling my knee back, okay? So I hold it out, take my knee back. So, first kick, right leg, turn, leg rotates. Boom, here. The hands can stay up. Generally speaking, there's a cross block action. As I throw my right leg, that hand goes down. The other hand cross blocks across my face so that any possible punches that could be coming in, I can take care of here with my shoulder and my hand. And all low kicks should be set up with your hands anyway as a distraction so the person can't counter. So here, maybe I jab, watch the foot turn, low kick, and I'm back out, okay? The left low kick is my back foot stepping up, in line pretty much, a little bit outside, with my front leg, so that that front leg can be thrown across here. I have an issue in my right ankle, I have a bone spur, so it's tough for me to balance on that leg. But maybe I throw a 2-step kick, here, 2, kick, 2, kick. A couple things to note on the kick. When the kick lands, my body should be perpendicular to my opponent right here. So see my shoulder, hip, everything's lined up this way. All right, so I know it's at full weight distribution. Sometimes when a person kicks land, they haven't turned their hips or their shoulders over. So I'm always trying to make sure that my body is turning and landing the kick with the shin. Land the kick with the shin, punch, kick with the shin, all right? Knee strikes are gonna be very similar in terms of foot movement. There's gonna be a little pivot. If I throw my rear leg, there's gonna be a pivot here. My front foot up my toe. The knee strike comes out. There's 3 main knees to throw. There's a knee that stabs out, which is the main one that we throw, a knee straight up to the head, and a curved knee that's thrown from the side. We're just gonna focus on a basic knee strike that comes just all the way out straight. My foot turns a little bit. My toes are gonna curl, call it making a fist with your foot. Your toes curl back. So as my foot turns here, the knee strike comes out and I'm driving with my hip. That other foot that's turned, you're going up onto the ball of your foot, breathing out as you throw it. Hand position, kick, right? This hand cross block, same thing with the knee strike. As this foot turns, cross block. You see that? So the knee strike comes out, here. Hand goes down, creating some torque action with the hip, other hand cross blocking. So the foot turns, the knee strike comes out. For the front leg, you have to switch your feet, switch step. See that right there? My back leg becomes my front leg. Here. All right, same thing. Hip comes out, curling the front toes. Switch step. See the angle? 45 degrees out that way. Not like a kick all the way turn, but I do need to be able to have my foot turn so my hip can drive through. If my foot's not turned, this hip is forward, this hip is now back. And that's where you're gonna get some action on the inside of your knee, which you don't really want. So here, switch step, knee strike, knee strike, knee strike, okay? So those are our kicks in our knees, which will add to the bag and add in our combination with our hands as we get late to the workout. Good luck.